up, everyone? Once again, it is Lovenji Gaming here, and I'm more than happy to be back and showing you yet another game of Populous, the Beginning's beta tournament. This is game number 2 of the match between Babo and IncaWarrior, playing as the blue tribe in the red position. It is IncaWarrior. He's already down one game after narrow passage, and he's hoping to make a comeback in this second game and bring it to a even score of 1-1. His opponent playing as the red tribe in the yellow position, I hope that doesn't confuse you. It is Babo. He's up one game and representing the clan Overpowered, and he's looking to advance to the next round of the tournament. Now, Inca's doing a good job of moving quickly. This is pressure point and not the 1v1 variant Yggdrasil. That means there is twice as many wild men for people to get, twice as much land for people to build on, really enabling the possibility to stress test beta and flex its ability to keep up with high impact chaotic games. Of course, the purpose of this tournament, I've said it a few times in a few games before, we are testing beta's competitive readiness, we're looking for bugs, and we're seeing how the game plays in this new version of Populous the Beginning. We can see that Babo's done good, collecting all the large groups of wild men already. A few of them getting stuck. He's even managed to sneak into the back of Blue's base and take all of these away from Inca. That's going to give himself a nice population boost. Look, he's even getting the side strip here. Punish Inca for being a little bit slow with his shaman. Oh no, Inca's going for the rush. Saying Inca's being a little bit slow. We've got Inca's shaman going in for the rush. That's why she's not there collecting wild men. It's because she's in the main base. All these men grouped up. That's one blast. Blast onto the Fire Warrior. Nicely done. Nice and aggressive play from Inca. We got Fire Warriors being trained and going into towers. So they are going to hold some of the base down at the very least. Now, the problem is yes, you get to deal a lot of damage to Babo's population here, but to what cost? All these wild men are going to respawn. Babo can just convert them. What Inca needs to be doing, instead of blasting with his shaman, is exactly this. Thank you, Inca. So you want to be seeing Inca taking all these wild men, and he needs to get down here and take these strips as well, because there's quite a lot of wild men here, and use those troops to actually destroy the buildings. And that's the most effective way you're going to be able to actually cripple Babo. Because if you can train Fire Warriors and get Fire Warriors around his core, you can deny him access to a shaman entirely. But that only matters if you've got the population to continue to secure. Even more converting coming out from Babo. It's going to be impossible to remove him from the game without the assistance of troops, so you really need to start thinking about using your troops. Your shaman cannot single-handedly murder a tribe. Babo looks like he's returning towards his own base. You can see what Inca is doing with the converts on these wild men. And Inca's making sure he's using them by sending his braves here, there, and everywhere. Babo blasts Inca, which actually just helps Inca out because Inca's going towards Babo's secondary base. Inca's being very aggressive. Babo manages to get him to roll down the hill with a well-placed blast. The second blast follows up and kills Inca, but Babo goes down at the same time. If Inca can set up the core camp here, it could be over for Babo. But it doesn't look like Inca's trying to set up a core camp. It does just look like Inca's going to just harass Braves with Fire Warriors, which is fine. But Babo could have potentially lost the game here. All Inca had to do was patrol Fire Warriors here so that they push the shaman this way. Babo's shaman would be done for. Babo's shaman has respawned, have the Fire Warriors. Fire Warriors need to notice. They don't really quite notice quick enough. Shaman clears them up with a blast, but there are still Braves everywhere, and Inca's even building in the back of Babo's base. It's like, I'm not going to let you build here. I'm going to build wherever the heck I want. And Babo's just hiding Fire Warrior huts. He's hiding troop huts here, there, and everywhere. Fire Warrior hut here is going to be slightly difficult to take down, especially once he gets Fire Warriors into these towers. One of the perks of beta is that it fixes this horizon, so these towers will actually protect stuff instead of just being a landmark of beauty on the pressure point terrain. Inca knows it. Look, he sniffs out the Fire Warrior hut immediately. He knows the importance of troops, and he's going straight for it. Inca's keeping the pressure on with his Shaman at the same time. He's moving Braves around here, there, and everywhere. But you've got to remember, there are wild men spawning constantly. You're doing a great job. You're creating an interesting game. You're being very aggressive, and you're making your opponent think under pressure. But so all your opponent really has to do is just keep charging convert. Until you can do something catastrophic like core camp them. If Inca had set up that core camp, then Babo would not have been able to convert, and you could just slowly win the game that way. It's good to see Inca playing aggressive. It's good to see Inca doing what he can. There's a warrior hut up from Babo, as well as another fire warrior hut. This is going to allow him to get troops up. He's got towers and defense, which is going to make this base pretty much impossible to push with Braves. This fire warrior hut is now also pumping out fire warriors. Fire warriors are going into the towers on the high ground as well, which means Inca has now lost control of the middle ground. Inca's been focusing so much on controlling his Shaman that, look at this, his bases are barely even built. Babo's been under a lot of pressure, yes, and it's looked really good for Inca at times, but what you have to remember is, whilst this base has been getting pounded, Inca failed to set up a core camp, and Babo's just been building constantly this entire time. You can see there's Braves being converted everywhere. They're running around, they are building, there are plans down, and plans on plans on plans. This is a known bugger baser because normally you can force these warriors, you can force these Braves around with a little bit of help from a campfire, but there's no way you'll get them out of there with the new pathfinding in beta at the moment. It's a little bit of a downside. Inca's doing what he can. He's applying pressure. He's even building in Babo's base, which I do like to see. You know, I like to see if you've secured this land, build on it, because you know it's a sign of dominance. What Inca needs to be very mindful of is Babo is effectively building a perfectly natural, perfectly good base over here, and even using land bridge to free those Braves. And you know, it's taking Inca quite a while to even finish off this base. Inca needs to be thinking about what his next steps are, what his next plan of attack is. It's good to see the aggressive rush play from Inca, but he failed to capitalize on it in the correct way. Babo's looking to make a play. He knows he has the middle secured, so he's starting to pray at this Stonehead, because this is pressure point and not the 1v1 Yggdrasil variant. That Stonehead is Armageddon. It is not Volcano. So it could give Babo a very strong position over the game. But I personally think he already has a very strong position over the game. We've got warriors coming into Inca's other base, already doing damage, pushing their way past the defenses. Babo himself, he's just converting as he walks directly into Inca's base. There's not enough defense here. What is Inca doing? Inca's just chilling in Babo's base once again. Shaman's just having a good time. She's like, I like this infrastructure. One earthquake from Babo. And it gets 3 huts, because of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Might even get a 4th. I don't know if... Yeah, it gets a 4th. Disgusting earthquake from Babo. But he was already in a winning position anyway. Inca's building at the back of his base still. Never give up. Never say die. Another earthquake comes out from Babo. Let's see if it's as disgusting as the first. RNGesus be kind with him. We got warriors trooping out these external base, and these warriors are spread up really nicely. They'll be able to take out every single one of these huts. So Inca has effectively lost control of this base now. No matter how much he keeps building it, the Shaman will finish up here. Pretty much the only land that Inca has secured is in Babo's base, and he won't be able to hold it for very long at this rate, that's for sure. Inca is trying to get into Babo's base. Inca's probably got a couple of spells of his own in the chamber. He's trying to get closer to that warrior training hut and maybe take it out so that warriors stop flowing forwards. He needs to be careful. He's going to get beaten up by that tower if he keeps it up. Yep, he gets pushed into the water by the warrior. He goes down. That was his last chance, really, to make something happen. These warriors have utterly decimated this base. We go over to the main base, and you can see there's even more warriors and fire warriors. Babo's doing the thing to Inca that we said Inca should have done to him, and had Inca done it, he could have won this game. We've got the core camp set up. It's not an effective core camp. It's not an effective core camp at all. But hey, it's a start. It's a work in progress. Dakini troops everywhere, all over the base, making sure that Inca will not be able to survive for terribly long. Inca is doing what he can to build at the back of Babo's original base. And Babo's answering in kind by building in his second base. Armageddon Prey is about... It's a third done, coming up to halfway done, somewhere between a third and halfway done. It's a long prey time on that Stonehead. You very rarely actually see it in competitive Populous games. Fire Warriors in the core camp once again, not doing anything. Inca respawns. He's a little slow to give orders to his Shaman. We saw that in his last game against Nation Kid, who'd managed to core camp Inca for quite a long time before being the gentleman and giving up on the core camp. Look at this group of wildies. Eventually, the Fire Warriors get given an order and they take Inca out. We do another Armageddon check. We've gone past the halfway point now. Inca's still in the game at this point, so what will happen? Will Inca die before the Armageddon finishes? Babo just drowned his own Shaman. Not terribly sure why he did that. Oh, I see why. He probably wants all these wild men. Oh no, of course. He's drowned himself because Inca's only base is at the back of his own base. I should have read the play sooner. How could I not? It was such an obvious play. But Inca's only remaining base is at the back of Babo's base, so he drowned his Shaman so that she would respawn in her base, which would normally be a bad thing when you're on the attack. But if your opponent's base is in your base, then that's the quickest way to get home. Uh-oh, says Inca. I do want to see an Armageddon. I do want to see an Armageddon, I'm not going to lie. It'd be nice to have an Armageddon in this tournament. Even if we know how the Armageddon is going to go, would still be nice to see an Armageddon in the tournament. Inca's patrolling his Braves, trying to keep them safe, and I don't think Babo's hunting them down, so Babo could just be going for the Armageddon. Yeah. It does look like we might see the Armageddon. Be great. Babo's still converting. Look at the size of his base. But because his opponent doesn't have a base, he's still got wildies to convert on the map. Absolutely ridiculous. If I ever do this again, I'm going to make a low wild mat version of Pressure Point. It's going to be exactly the same, just with a fraction of the wild men. That was the sound of the prey being completed. Oh, Babo's making the arena for Armageddon. There it is. We've got an Armageddon, guys. Those of you who have never seen this spell before, Armageddon puts the population of both players, well, a reduced version of the population of both players in an arena and has them fight to the death. As you can see, you may have seen that this looks a little bit different to those of you who are used to the original game of Armageddon, and that's because Beta has been updated. Beta now supports the 8-player Armageddon, so each of these positions represents one of the 8 tribes that could potentially be in a beta game. And as you can see, it's only going to be a 1v1, and Inca's pop stopped spawning in a long time ago. He's got a warrior. Inca's got a warrior, bless him. Look at that. Snuck that one out. Here we go. So, Babo is going to take this game. He's going to advance to the next round. IncaWarrior we will be seeing in the losers bracket. GG. Well played.